Hi, my name is Matthew Blackman. This is my week 3 assignment for FTT 221. Today is August 24th, 2025. Let's get into it. All right, so today for the ring lapping lab, we're going to be using this little piece of Picatinny that I had instead of an actual rifle, just because I didn't want to have to unmount one of my optics and lose zero and have to deal with all that. And this kind of just fit in the vise and is super easy to work on. So I think this will be best for the demonstration. Real quick, have the scope here from SdiEdu, have the lapping compound, lapping bar, the alignment rods, and then I've got this chopped up in a vise right there. All right, so right now we're gonna be taking the tops off of the scope rings. I already took the little piece of tape out of the scope rings, and the scope rings are both set in a way that is right for the scope already. We're going to take the tops off right now and put the alignment rods in. Once I get these tops off, I'll get back to you. All right, so here we have the alignment pins in the scope rings. As far as I can see, they are pretty close. The left one might just be a marginally bit higher. But they are definitely pretty close. So I'm going to go ahead and take these back out now, and I'm going to put some lapping compound on the rings, and I'll get back to you. All right, so now we're going to be applying the lapping compound on the scope ring halves, starting with the two bottom ones. In the textbook, it really just looked like they were just coated pretty heavily. Probably just going to use my fingers so it'll be easier. So I'm going to get these two bottom ones coated, or the top ones, and then I'll get back to you when I start coating the ones that are mounted on the rail. All right, so I've got the two top caps done right here. I've got the one done on the vise right here. Just going to get this second one coated nice and good. And then after I get these done, I'm gonna get the lapping bar in, and we're going to start the process. All right, so I'm finishing up tightening up the lapping bar right now. They're pretty well tightened down. I can barely free spin it. So after I get this handle installed, we are going to get to the actual lapping process. So the goal of this is to go back and forth, and with each stroke, eventually it's going to lighten up as the lapping compound gets in there. And the goal is for it to move like pretty freely. It doesn't have to just, flop over freely side to side. Just as long as it's getting, freeing up, getting easier and easier to move. So we're going to start right now. And already it's freeing up a lot. Double check. Make sure that these are still fairly tight. That one turned a little. That one turned a little. That one turned. That one turned. All right. All right, and I'll get back to you once it starts freeing up some. All right, so I've been doing this for a while, had to tighten it back down a couple times as the screws came loose from just moving it back and forth, but now it moves pretty much super freely. I did just freshly tighten the screws down, so it's got a little more resistance, but it moves super freely. I took one of the caps off already and checked the insides, and it's worn down pretty well, and it moves super free. I mean, the screws are pretty much tightened pretty good. Not all the way, but enough to where I'm happy with how it's moving. So I'm gonna get both the caps taken off, and then the bar out, and then I'll come back for the cleanup process. All right, so I'm gonna take the caps off now. I'm just gonna set those aside. There's both the caps. Then I'm gonna take the bar out, and I'm just gonna start wiping everything down, get that lapping compound off of everything, and then I will come back and show you the surface textures on both the ring caps, the rings themselves, and as you can see, there's already a bunch of wear on the trigger bar or the lapping bar, and that's just how it's going to be because of the lapping compound. So I'll get back to you once I get all this cleaned up, and we can take a look at the progress. All right, it took a good bit to clean these up all the way, but as you can see, the silver parts are where it actually took the material off, and as you can see, it took a good bit of material off just to make it as even as possible. On this one, it took a lot more off. On this one, it didn't take as much off. This is the one that I believe was higher, so it makes sense that there's more material off of there. This one, not as much. And then when we come into these are both pretty even in the material that got taken off of these. So I'm pretty happy with it. Next, we're gonna put the alignment rods in, and we'll see if we, you know, made a difference. All right, so these are the alignment rods in the scope rings after lapping. I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. As I said before, the left one I believe was a little bit higher, but as you can see, they are dead on now. This is them completely tightened down and everything after the lapping, and they look perfect to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these alignment rods out of the scope rings, get the scope ring, the caps off the top, and we're gonna go ahead and get the scope mounted, and we'll be back. All right, so now we're going to be mounting the scope. Of course, if this was on a real rifle, you'd have to account for eye relief here. So just pretend this was the back of the rifle, like where the charging handle is. Probably want it to be set right about there, just so there's a little bit of room in between there and right there. Maybe even want to space these rings a little bit differently, but this would be perfectly fine right there. But because it's not on an actual rifle, obviously I can't demonstrate it the best. However, this is going to be right about where it gets tightened down, a little bit farther forward. And you just have to remember that you need to have it in a place where the eye relief is, you know, enough. All right, going to make sure this is straight, and I'm going to get this tightened down, and then I'll get back to you. All right, so I'm finishing tightening down the scope right now. This isn't going to be its final place, so I'm not tightening up with Loctite or anything. Just getting it tight enough to where it's fully seated in the scope rings. Just like that. And there we have it. It's mounted completely. There we go. It's tightened down completely. And I don't have the best way of leveling it, so I'm just going to be using this level right here. I'll be right back in a second to show you that. So, this isn't the best way to see it, but it at least tells you something. As you can see right there, the bubble is pretty well in the middle. Again, this isn't a very accurate test, but it's the best I can do right now. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It's definitely a good skill to have, especially if you're going to be working in a shop. I think it turned out pretty good today. And that's going to be the end of the video. So again, my name is Matthew Blackman. Today is August 24th, 2025. This was my ring scope lapping lab for SDI. And have a nice day.